We saw heavy hits and heartbreak and caution after caution after caution. It was treacherous, it was tricky, and it was Texas Motor Speedway. Let's talk all about it. My name's Taylor Kitchen, and welcome back to Above the Yellow Line, where we talk about NASCAR all the time. And before we get into the Würth 400, happy May the 4th, happy Star Wars Day to everyone who is a Star Wars fan out there. Hopefully you guys were able to either watch some of the movies today before the race, or you got to see Revenge of the Sith, the 20th anniversary in theaters. That was super cool. Highly recommended that experience. But let's move aside from May the 4th and talk about the race today, the Würth 400. Let's start off with some heartbreak because it looked like Michael McDowell could have potentially won this race. He got himself in the position he needed to be in to potentially win. Ultimately, his car was no match for the two Team Penske drivers of Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano, but he could have at least had a top 3 day until he crashed. McDowell had lost the lead to Joey Logano when he was fighting to stay in that second position against Ryan Blaney. Ultimately, that 71 got to the rear of the 12, and just the air got taken off of the nose of the 71. He went spinning, and unfortunately, that ended what would have been a fantastic result for that 71 car. So gutted for Michael McDowell, but ultimately that team just keeps getting better and better. So an unfortunate pill to swallow to end this race, but ultimately, I hope this is a sign of good things to come for that team as they keep getting more and more consistent. But this means we went into an overtime restart that put the Team Penske boys of Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano head-to-head in an overtime restart. And the Achilles heel of that 12 car all day long was restarts, so you kind of knew that Joey Logano was going to get his 37th Cup Series career victory, and that he did, winning his first race at Texas Motor Speedway in quite some time. So now 2 wins to his name at Texas, and of course this win locks Joey Logano into the playoffs, so he will try to see if he can win back-to-back NASCAR Cup Series championships. Will he do it? It's an odd number year, so signs point to maybe no. But I love to see stats break sometimes, so we will see if Joey Logano can make it back-to-back championships, but back-to-back wins for Penske. Let's pump the brakes on championships for a second and just talk about back-to-back wins for Team Penske. Austin Cindric at Talladega, and then we have, of course, Joey Logano here at Texas. The month of May is typically when we see things pick up for Team Penske, not just as an entire organization talking about the IndyCar side of things, but particularly for just the Penske NASCAR team. You saw Ryan Blaney in 2023 getting that win at the Coca-Cola 600, really catapulted what was his championship season. You see stuff like this year where Penske is finally picking up those wins, the ones that they just kind of let go at the start of the season, and you think that maybe this is a positive sign of things to come. Maybe they got the monkey off their back and they're finally going to perform the way we know that they can. So Joey Logano getting the win, back-to-back wins for Team Penske, and we will see how they do moving on into next weekend. And I should mention, this was not an easy race to win for Joey Logano. He started in the 27th position, did not qualify well, and had to work his way to the front. A lot of drivers just weren't able to move through the field. Joey was one that could move at least well enough. You saw drivers like Tyler Reddick, who was able to just rocket through the field without much issue towards the beginning of the race. But this was a hard-fought win for Joey Logano, and as I talked about earlier, a lot of these drivers had to fight through cautions and strategy and things like that. And you're going to look at this top 10 and think, this is weird. You're going to look at this top 10 and think, I haven't seen some of these names inside the top 10 in either a very long time or since the start of this season, and you'd be correct. And I attribute the weird top 10 to a really poor timed caution brought out by Jesse Love while green flag pit stops were happening towards the end of the race that trapped some drivers like Ryan Preece, Ty Gibbs, Carson Hocevar, William Byron, we have Austin Cindric and Chase Elliott down as they had already made their stops. So it put them on a weird strategy flip to where they had to take the wave around and go to the back of the pack, which ultimately ended what could have been fantastic days for those drivers. I talked to Austin Cindric last week after his win at Talladega, and he was telling me that at Texas last year, strategy and cautions did not fall into their favor strategy-wise. Unfortunately, the same happened to them this year, so gutted for them, but it did benefit some of these teams inside the top 10 to have that caution fall where it fell. What's crazy too about the top 10 is a lot of them had pit road penalties. We had a crazy number of 49 pit road penalties or penalties during this race, which is insane. But drivers like Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, John Hunter Nemechek, speeding on pit road early in the race. Christopher Bell had a safety violation, so he had to serve that penalty too. So we have a lot of drivers inside the top 10 that really had to fight their way there. Of course, Joey Logano finishing the race in first. Ross Chastain, let's talk about this for a second because Ross Chastain, and then we have Daniel Suarez both finishing inside the top 10. For Daniel Suarez finishing in that 10th position, this is back-to-back top 10s for him. For Ross Chastain, we talked about this a few weeks ago, but he's been pretty consistent this season. We're just not talking about that. But for Ross, after the race, he was talking on the broadcast and said, you know what, we haven't been really confident as a team, as an organization at Trackhouse, in the equipment we brought to the track and the speed that we've had. So this result is very important for them. A great day as well. For Ryan Blaney, on the other hand, though, of course, a great finish for him after not finishing the race at Talladega, but he just feels like he can't do anything right, is what he said after the race. And it's been a tough season for that 12 team, to be completely honest. He has 4 DNFs this season. He seems to be losing some time on pit row, while we now have some switches in the pit crew, so maybe that will help. Restarts have not been Ryan Blaney's friend, especially this race. That's pretty much where he lost it, but they're just not able to put races together. It's very reminiscent of a Ryan Blaney that we saw a few seasons ago, where they just could not put a full race together from start to finish. And we're seeing this here. So as his 2 other teammates are in victory lane, that 12 is still searching. So we will see how he can do moving forward. But overall, like, he's trending in the right direction. He had a 5th place at Bristol and Darlington, 11th at Martinsville. So the results keep moving forward. So it's a matter of time before he breaks back through. You have Kyle Larson in 4th, Eric Jones in 5th. And this is his first top 5 this season, let alone top 10. You have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 6th. First top 10 since Atlanta. Austin Dillon in 7th. 3 top 10s in a row for Austin Dillon. I feel like that's very important to highlight. In 8th, we have John Hunter Nemechek, his first top 10 since Atlanta and Daytona, those back-to-back for him. 9th, of course, Christopher Bell. Like I said, he battled back from some adversity early in the race. And then 10th, of course, Daniel Suarez. There are other stories, though, outside the top 10 that are very prominent to talk about, considering it plays into the whole storyline of caution, caution, caution. So 26th on back, with the exception of Josh Berry, who was able to get back on track, did not finish the race due to these 12 cautions. These are some of the ones that at least I highlighted. So lap 173 with Joey Logano and Bubba Wallace. It looked like Joey Logano made contact with the number 23 car, but I think it was more so just an aero thing where Joey Logano got to the left rear of Bubba Wallace. Bubba spun out, collected a few cars with the Noah Gragson. Allmendinger actually got air for this incident, which was pretty terrifying, but like ultimately was okay. It could have been way worse, but glad he is okay. Alex Bellman involved in this too, and at this point, he was doing better than the start of the race. He had worked his way through the field. The broadcast wasn't really talking about how well he was doing at that point, but unfortunately didn't matter because he was involved in this incident, which was super unfortunate. You have Carson Hocevar on lap 238. Again, he was on the pole for this race, led some laps. He was one of the cars that was affected by the love caution. He ran Ryan Preece up the track. The 60 ran out of room, and of course both made contact, and unfortunately their days were done. Hocevar did talk to Bob Pollcrass after the race and took fault and basically said, you know what, that's my bad. I was getting in other car's wake. I was getting tight from Preece on his door and the other car in front of him. He didn't predict being in that situation. He wasn't sure necessarily what to do. And he just said it's on him. It's his fault, and he apologizes to the 60 team. So I hated to see that for Hocevar, but I really hated it for Ryan Preece, who was having a great day, would have been a great rebound for what happened at Talladega, the disqualification. Unfortunately, wasn't able to make up for this time, but was very close. You also have Kyle Busch, who was poised to have a good finish. He had great speed, great strategy, and unfortunately got loose around lap 230 around Michael McDowell and spun out, so took out what could have been a good result for him as well. And then, of course, you have Brad Keselowski in the no good, very bad season because, my goodness, I do not think the NASCAR gods want Brad Keselowski to finish a race, let alone finish a race inside the top 10. On lap 248, Brad Keselowski got loose and took multiple cars with him. Again, like I said, 0 top 10s this season, 0 laps led, and he has an average finishing position of 26.1. I do not know what happened to Brad Keselowski, but it's not good. It's not good. Luck is not on his side. I don't understand what's happening. There was one point where he had worked his way inside the top 13, top 10. I didn't think his car had what it needed to stay in that position, but it was better than he had been running the past few weeks. Unfortunately, though, didn't pan out for him. I don't know when this team is going to rally or rebound. I don't get it. Ryan Preece is carrying RFK on his back right now. We did kind of see glimmers of hope for Chris Buescher, who was having a decent day, then had a tire go down on him. But it's just, when will the organization put it all together? And I don't know. Again, a lot of it is luck-based, but man, you hate to see that for Brad Keselowski. There's definitely some incidents I did not talk about because there was just way too much. But let's go to the race rating above or below the yellow line presented by Happy Hour Racing. And I'm definitely a bit happier with this race than I thought I would be. Now, before the race started, I was pretty skeptical, not gonna lie. I just was like, Texas, I don't know. It's been a bit better in the Gen 7 car, but we will see. After the completion of stage 1, I was like, no, this isn't it. I just was like, this is awful. I wasn't thrilled with the product that we were seeing, and I was like, man, Texas Motor Speedway has the largest turnout it's seen in years for one of these races, and they're getting a crappy product. I ate my words a little bit. I think the race got better, but what I want to reiterate here is that cautions don't make a race interesting. It forces strategy onto these teams, but cautions don't inherently make a race interesting. I think the product is what should make a race interesting, and the product that we saw, it was still very hard to pass. Like I said, I think earlier on the show, and maybe I didn't, but Texas is notoriously a hard track to pass at. So I'm taking that into account here too. But it was just messy, it was chaotic. The race honestly made me tired as a fan, but if you were there, you were probably on the edge of your seat because you had no clue when the caution was going to come out, and that made it exciting for some people. The product didn't blow me away, it wasn't wowing, but it also wasn't an awful race. And I think as NASCAR fans, we need to set our scales. We need to rebalance our scales a little bit, because I do not think this race was awful by any means. It was just okay. It was messy, but it was also okay. I'm gonna give it a 60%. It's not an overwhelming 60%, but it is above the yellow line. Ultimately, I want the race to be better here. It is such a tricky track, as we have seen all across the board, from Truck Series to Cup Series this weekend. It is a track that's not too tough to tame. That's Darlington's slogan. But it is very, very tricky beyond what we would expect. And sometimes that makes Texas a pretty interesting place to go. Sometimes it makes it an exhausting place to go. This weekend was a bit of a mix of both. What are your thoughts on the Würth 400? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to go to abovetheyellowline.com to find us on all of our social platforms so you can get involved in the conversation. Another big thank you to Happy Hour Racing for partnering with us here at ATYL Media, and you guys. Again, we're in the month of May. It's going to be a crazy, busy, chaotic, exciting month, but if you're looking for driver merchandise or gear to support your favorite driver, if you're going to be at the 600 or the Indy 500, you want to make sure you're getting it from Happy Hour Racing. So go to happyhourracing.com/ATYL and use the promo code ATYL2025 to get a special discount. So make sure to check them out so you can support your favorite drivers during this exciting month of May. But thank you all so much for tuning in on this episode of Above the Yellow Line. And until next time, I'll see ya. Bye.